Okay, let's dive in. We're looking at Zechariah chapter 8 today. It's just packed with vision, uh, restoration, this whole picture of a transformed future.
It really is, and it kicks off with such, well, intensity. Verse 2, the Lord Almighty says, I am very jealous for Zion. I am burning with jealousy for her.
Yeah, burning jealousy. What does that even mean, that kind of divine passion right at the start?
Well, it's fascinating because it's not like our negative idea of jealousy. Think of it more like this fierce protective commitment, a really deep love.
Okay.
It's God basically saying Zion, Jerusalem is his, and he's absolutely determined for it to flourish his way. That energy, it fuels everything else that follows.
Right, and it drives straight into this promise of return. God says he'll come back, dwell in Jerusalem, and the city gets a new name.
City of Truth. And the mountain becomes the Holy Mountain.
City of Truth, Holy Mountain. What's the weight behind those names, especially with God actually dwelling there?
It tells you right away the restoration isn't just like fixing buildings. It's about the city's actual character, its essence.
Calling it City of Truth ties it to God's own faithfulness. And Holy Mountain, that means it's sacred because he's present. The identity is totally reshaped by his presence.
And the picture of life there. It's so simple, but wow, it's powerful. Old men and women just sitting in the streets, safe with their canes.
And kids playing everywhere, boys and girls filling the streets.
Exactly. What does that specific image, that contrast, tell us about what's changed?
It's a picture of profound normalcy, total safety, generational thriving. In hard times or conflict, who's most at risk?
The elderly, the children, always.
Right. So this image, it's saying true restoration means everyone from oldest to youngest is secure, just living their lives out in the open. It's a radical picture of peace compared to instability.
It almost sounds, well, unbelievable, given what they'd been through. And the text kind of nods to that, doesn't it? It says it might seem marvelous to the people.
Yeah, but then God asks, will it seem marvelous to me?
What's that about, that contrast in perspective? I think it hits you with something crucial. What feels like a miracle, almost impossible from our viewpoint, especially after hardship.
Yeah.
From God's perspective, it's simply the way things are meant to be. His plan for his people living securely with him, that's not a surprise to him, it's his purpose. The marvel isn't his power. Maybe it's how hard it is for us to grasp his commitment.
And that commitment includes bringing everyone back, saving his people from the countries of the East and the West.
Exactly, gathering them back to Jerusalem. But it's not just about geography.
It's about relationship.
Right.
To be my people, and I will be faithful and righteous to them.
Precisely. Location restored, yes, but fundamentally it's the relationship. The covenant comes alive again, defined by his faithfulness and their response.
And right in the middle of this future vision, there's this call to action for the people now, especially the temple builders. Let your hands be strong.
And notice when that comes. Right after describing the before time.
Yeah, the tough times. No wages, danger everywhere, neighbors against each other.
That contrast is key. It connects their hard work today with the amazing future. He's promising the before was brokenness, partly judgment. So, be strong links their current effort, their obedience now, to the coming peace and abundance. It's not passive waiting.
It's like, work towards it because the promise is solid.
That's it, rooted in the promise.
What a turnaround. From scarcity and division to, well, abundance. God says he won't deal with them like in the past. Instead, it's blessings.
Incredible blessings. Fertile ground, fruit, crops, dew. The whole natural world reflects the restored relationship.
And they shift from being like a symbol of cursing among nations
to being a blessing, a positive influence. Total reversal.
Which must be why do not be afraid keeps showing up.
Absolutely. God's determination is the foundation. Just like he determined disaster before, he says.
Now he's determined to do good. And again, do not be afraid. But then, why pivot immediately to how they need to act?
That's such a critical point.
Yeah.
Speak truth, true judgment, don't plot evil, don't love false oaths.
If God's determined anyway, why list these commands right now?
Because the experience of the blessing of God dwelling there, it's tied to how the community lives. God's determination is sure, but living it out requires reflecting his character.
Ah, okay. So truth, justice, peace, they're not just rules.
They're the ethical bedrock. The foundation for a community where God can dwell and through whom he can bless others. It's not automatic, Their response matters.
And living that way even changes their religious life. The fasts, the mourning.
They become joyful festivals, glad occasions. But notice the command attached: love, truth, and peace.
So the joy isn't just circumstance, it flows from living aligned with God. Truth and peace are central.
Exactly. And then the vision just explodes outwards, globally.
Right. Many people, strong nations coming to Jerusalem, saying to each other, let's go seek the Lord.
It shows the impact isn't just local. This restored community living in truth and peace with God present becomes like a magnet for the whole world, drawing people to seek God.
And that final image is unforgettable. 10 men from all languages grabbing onto the robe of one Jew.
Saying, "Let us go with you because we have heard that God is with you."
Wow. What does that signify, that powerful picture?
It's just this incredibly tangible symbol of recognition. People from everywhere see it. They understand God's presence is uniquely there with this people, and they desperately want to be part of it, to find him too.
So God's presence won't be subtle, it'll be obvious.
So obvious the world wants to follow them, to find him. It's powerful. So reflecting on all this, God's intense love, the radical restoration promise, but also that insistent call to live truthfully, peacefully now. What really stands out to you is quite a connection between God's plan, our part, and, well, a world-changing future.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How that divine passion fuels everything, but also how our simple commitments like truth, like peace, in our own lives, somehow connect to that huge world-drawing purpose. What does loving truth and peace actually look like for us, right where we are?